Let me turn that off. Okay, great. All right, that's connected across to YouTube Live. So I'll put that on mute. And what I'm going to do, for some reason, some people have difficulty viewing my screen on your computer screen. It's blurry or it's not formatting properly. It just looks a bit weird. If it looks a bit weird, if it's blurry or not formatting properly, I want you to click on this link, which I'll put into the chat. So if you click on the chat in Zoom, you'll see that. You can watch this on YouTube Live, or you can just go to YouTube, type in OET, and you should see the live stream there. Okay, I'm going to turn the chat off so you can only chat with me. I've got pretty small numbers today in the Zoom, just 26 participants. I think that's because the OET test isn't for another 3 weeks, and everybody's like, relaxing, no problem, I'm chilling out. But trust me, you should start preparing for this test as soon as possible. Okay, there's 57 people watching on YouTube Live. That's good. We may as well get started. If you have any questions, feel free to write them down or put them into the chat and I'll get back to you, but probably best to just ask me at the end, okay? Cool, let's get started. Hi everybody, my name's Jay. I'm one of the expert OET teachers here at E2 Language. In this live class, we're going to look at OET Reading Part B. We're going to look at the different question types, or I should say the different question functions, because all of the question types in Reading Part B are multiple choice, right? So they're multiple choice question types. I'm going to give you some practice. So we're going to look at the functions, the different functions. So if you haven't taken the OET before, Reading Part B is worth twice as many points as Reading Part A. Reading Part A scares everybody because you have to complete it in 15 minutes, whereas for Reading Part B, you have 45 minutes. However, Reading Part B, it's worth 66%. Reading Part A is worth 33%. So which one should you worry about more? Well, I suppose both of them. You want to do well in both, but Reading Part B is extremely important. The thing about Reading Part B is, because it's multiple choice, it seems easier because it's just a matter of selecting one of 4 answer options. Whereas Reading Part A, you've got to skim and scan and look at different things and fill in a summary and It's definitely, in terms of a task type, it's more difficult. But nevertheless, what I'm trying to say is Reading Part B is extremely important. So this is how it works. You get 45 minutes in total. You have 2 reading texts, okay? So they're sort of broken down into 2 different texts. Each text will have about, I think it's between 8 and 10 questions, right? And then each question is multiple choice with 4 answer options. So you get 4 answer options for each question. There's no negative marking, so if you don't know, you can guess, which is cool. And you mark A, B, C, or D on your answer sheet. It's very straightforward. Here is the first question type. It is a question about the meaning of a particular word in the paragraph. Now, just let me check everything's plugged in. I just saw that flashing. Bear with me for a second, guys. Okay, let's do this. So let's do this, and then I'm going to explain. Actually, no, let me explain the question first. Okay, so this one says the word relentless in paragraph 1 means, and then you got your 4 answer options. I say don't read those first. The word relentless in paragraph 1 means, then you should read the paragraph. Now, the good thing about the OET is they will actually underline the particular word you need so you don't have to search for it. Let's do this one here. I'm going to give you just 30 seconds, half a circle. Okay, you should have the answer by now. We're going to check the answers at the end. Just let me check if everything's cool in Zoom. Nice. Okay, cool. No problem. And what about on YouTube Live? Everybody's happy? Yeah. Okay, cool. Everybody looks good. Okay, let's get back to it then. Okay, let's look at the second type of question, which is a sentence completion question. So it looks like this. What you have effectively here is half a sentence, because it's according to the discovery, research mentioned in paragraph 1, researchers discovered, and then you need to complete the sentence. A, how to cure a range of common diseases. Again, what I want you to do is I want you to not read this first. I want you to read this first. So this is number 1. This is number 2. Then here is number 3. And because what you want to do is go, okay, according to the discovery, research, what did researchers discover? Then you're going to read this and you're going to ask yourself, okay, what did they discover? And you can say it to yourself. Then you go to the answer options and find the one that best corresponds to your answer. Because if you start reading these, they start to get really confusing. So please do 1, 2, 3. Let's try that. Whoopsie. Whoopsie. There we go. Okie dokie. That one was a bit more complicated. We'll come to the answers at the end. Just while we're on this, if you're watching this on YouTube Live, click the subscribe button, because every time we do a live stream, you'll get a notification on your phone so you can watch it and learn from us, and it's a good thing to do. So do click that subscribe button. And if you're enjoying this video, you can click the like button as well. Okay, question type number 3, a single word answer. So what this one does, it summarizes all of this information here into a single word, okay? Or it summarizes a particular part of this into a single word. So you need to choose that single word. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, that should be enough time to summarize that into a single word. Here's another type of question. Which one is true? Right, so that means that 3 of these answer options will be false. Which one is true? Again, I want you to use, let's forget these. Let's read this first. Let's read this second. Then let's confirm. We're going to either eliminate or are we going to confirm one, for example? Okay. Okie dokie, let's move on. Which one is true? That leads us to this type of question, which you might also see, which says, which one is not true or which one is false? That means 3 of these will be true and 1 will be false. Again, I want you to approach this question type like this. Number 1, number 2, read this, then start to go through. Now, 1 of 3 of these will be true, in fact. So you're going to say that one's in there, yes, that one's in there, yes, that one's in there, and that's true. Oh, this one's not in there, for example. Okay. Okie dokie. All right, so they are the types of questions that you'll see in OET Reading Part B. As I said at the beginning, OET Reading Part B is worth twice as many marks. So if you are getting a C or a C+ for reading, don't just concentrate on Reading Part A because it's terrifying, which it is. Have a look at Reading Part B. I should say Reading Part A is completely manageable if you have a good method and lots of practice. But Reading Part B is tougher. In some ways, it's tougher because it really is just pure reading. And it's, well, anyway, let's go through the answers and we'll see if we can learn something here. So the word X means, so the word relentless in paragraph 1 means, now you need to be careful because, for example, unmerciful and unstoppable. Okay, relentless, rapid is not a synonym, and stubborn is not quite a synonym, but these two are unstoppable and unmerciful. However, according to the context, only one of these will be correct. So on test day, don't just match it because unstoppable, relentless, yes, these mean the same thing. What you need to do is still read the paragraph, right? And then get the context and go, in this context, the answer is A, unstoppable. Okay. Come on, computers. Question type number 2, sentence completion. So according to the discovery mentioned in paragraph 1, researchers discovered or researchers found A, how to cure a range of common diseases. We want to eliminate incorrect options. B, a link between inflammation and some common diseases. More information about inflammation and cells. How to manually stop healthy cells from switching off. So I think we can definitely eliminate A and D because it didn't say anything about manually switching off cells. It certainly didn't mention anything about curing common diseases. The answer is in fact C. This is the most precise answer. They found more information about inflammation and cells. It didn't talk about a link between inflammation and some common diseases, okay? So just be careful. Although these words may be actually mentioned within the paragraph, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the answer. Question type number 3, a single word answer. So this process of using wasp venom could best be described as novel, which means sort of, how can I say this in other words? Interesting, thoughtful, new, something like that. And also a little bit strange is why it's the word novel. Question type number 4, which one is true? So according to this paragraph, which one is true? Which one is true is in fact C. The use of neuroscience to catch criminals is contentious. That comes especially from this final sentence down here. However, just because we can use this technology doesn't mean we should, okay? That could best be described as defining that as contentious. Cool. Which one is not true? Which means 3 will be true, 1 will be false. Which of the following in paragraph 1 is not true? Well, D is not true. A, in fact, is said in the paragraph. B is said in the paragraph. C is said in the paragraph, of course, in different words. But D says something contradictory, or in fact, it's just not mentioned at all. So that means it is not true. So D for this question here. And that is the end of that. If you have any questions, pop them into the chat. I'm happy to stick around for however long it takes. So Anna Moy, you had to watch this on YouTube Live. There was a link there, but anyway, too late now. Can I make notes with highlighter on question paper? No, you can't bring any pens or pencils or highlighters to the exam with you. Of course, they give you a pen, you know, like this. I'm not sure if they give you a pen or a pencil. I'm assuming it's probably a, correct me if I'm wrong. Please put into the chats if they give you a pen or a pencil. I'd like to know, in fact. But they provide it with you, to you. But of course, you can use that. You can underline and use that to help you out. Can you repeat what relentless means? Relentless means it just doesn't stop. Doesn't stop. So if you have relentless cognitive decline, it means that there's no cure. It's going to continue. Here's a good question. How can we improve reading generally? Okay, so what is reading then? Okay, you ask yourself that question. Well, vocabulary will have a lot to do with it, because if you see words and you don't know the meaning of those words, well, that's going to be problematic. Grammar has a lot to do with it, because grammar actually has a lot of meaning as well. In fact, if you think about a verb tense, for example, and you said something like the man had a broken arm versus the man has a broken arm, or the man will have a broken arm. That's just the same verb changing, but that verb changes the meaning of those 3 sentences almost completely. Srinivas, for writing, if we write 200 words, any penalty for extra words, though we covered all required? No, they're not very strict in the OET with the word count. So as long as you write around 200 words, it's fine. Okay, let's go to YouTube Live. How much do we need to get a C+ in reading? I don't know how many questions you need to get right. You just need to get as many right as you possibly can. Jay, do I need to use linking words in my writing? Yes, I suggest you do. For example, you can use words like, well, it depends what you're trying to do. It depends what you're trying to say. If you're describing a process, for example, you might say firstly, secondly, next, subsequently. For example, let's say you have a patient who visits you on several occasions. Mr. Smith firstly presented on ... Subsequently, he followed up on this date. After that, so these are sort of discourse markers that you can use, but also within the paragraph itself. Don't overuse them, just use some of them. I think that's a good idea. Jay, how do they grade the listening and the reading? Like how many points out of the total to get? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. Johnson, during practice, I'm just reaching only 10 to 12 questions. How can I improve more? Please, Jay, give me a tip. I'm guessing, are you talking about reading part B or reading part A? If you're talking about reading part A, you need to follow a very strict method and sequence of what you do as soon as you open that test booklet. Boom, 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 boom. There's like anyway, check out the OET, the E2 language method for that. So reading part A, the primary skill in reading part A is scan reading, speed reading, scan reading, finding keywords, finding a keyword in the summary, finding the corresponding keyword in one of those 4 texts, finding which word, and then you have to transform it to fit the gap. It's tough. It's definitely tough, and it requires a lot of practice. Reading part B, the primary skill is, well, understanding the function of what you're reading. For example, if it asks you which one of these is not true, then you need to read in a certain way. The way that you'll read is you'll eliminate the ones that are true and you'll find the one that is not true. So you need to understand those question types and practice them. What is the difference between transfer, referral, and discharge letter? Okay, so first of all, you're most likely to get a referral letter. That is the most common type of letter in the OET writing, a referral letter. That's when you have a patient and you're sending that patient to a specialist, usually. So let's say you're sending them to an endocrinologist, or you're sending them to a neurologist, or you're sending them for an X-ray, something like that, right? That's the referral letter. Discharge letter means that a patient has come from somewhere to visit you in your clinic, and then you're sending that patient back to where they came from. So the easiest example for this one is that you have an elderly patient from a nursing home. Let's say the elderly patient had a fall and broke her hip. So she came from the nursing home to your clinic or your hospital. She stayed in your hospital for a week while she healed. And then you're sending her back to the nursing home with information about her stay and maybe what her exercises will need to be, something like that. Transfer letter means you have a patient in your ward and you need to move that patient to another ward, and you need to, along with the patient needs to go some information. So let's say you're moving a patient from an emergency ward to surgery, something like that, okay? And the last one is an information letter. These become increasingly less common, by the way, but maybe there's an outbreak of chickenpox at a primary school, you're the school nurse, and you need to write to the parents of the students, so dear parents, outlining what happened, outlining what chickenpox is, and outlining what needs to be done, something like that, okay? Excuse me. I want to know how many correct, okay, I don't know the answer to that one. Nobody does, by the way, except for the OET. Jay, the E2 language teachers gave me 77 out of 100 in my writing assessment. Is this a grade B? Well, it'd be close to a C plus B, okay? Srinivas, how to improve OET writing skills? Can you please give any suggestions? I got B in all modules except for writing. Srinivas, I believe you're a paid member. I'm not sure if you are. Go to the website. If you're not, sign up for at least the budget package. It gives you all the information you need on how to write all the different types of letters, all the grammar, all the structure, the organization, the selection, everything. It's very good. Amal, it graded against 5 criteria. Is every criterion holds a 20% mark? No, I don't know. You're right. There are 5 criteria for the writing. Let's see if I can remember them. Task fulfillment, which means that you write your letter to the right person and you include the right information. There's appropriateness of language, which means that you use the correct formal tone and words and vocabulary. There's grammar. You're graded on grammar. You're graded on comprehension of stimulus, which means you understand the case notes. You didn't misinterpret them. You interpreted them correctly. And the last one you're graded on is the letter format, as in your organization, your paragraphing structure, the address and stuff like that. I don't think they would be weighed equally, because format, I don't think, would be worth as many points as comprehension of stimulus, for example. But yes, knowing those 5 criteria is important. So check out the scoring video on e2language.com. If you're a member, you can watch the scoring video. It tells you how you're scored in writing. That's also on the OET website, by the way. I'm planning to take an OET in July. How many hours do I have to spend to practice? Could you please give me advice to improve speaking? Okay, 2 questions here. How long do I need to practice? Depends on how good your English currently is. Can you give me tips for speaking? The best way to practice speaking is to take a mock speaking test with one of our teachers. So they're 45 minutes in length. You get to do 2 full role plays. You get feedback. The teacher talks to you, explains everything. If you're nervous about it, sign up to maybe our bronze package. Comes with the 1 tutorial, and you can take your tutorial and say speaking and reading, for example, in the 45 minutes. It's the best way to do it. You can read a lot about the OET speaking, but it's not until you actually do it in a test-like environment that you start to really understand what you need to do on test day to succeed. Jay, in a referral letter, can I start with, thank you for seeing this patient? Yes, you can. Usually you just say, I'm writing to refer this patient, or this patient presented on this date, I'm writing to refer them into your care, something like that. There's many different ways to write this. There's no one correct formula. Jay, is there a full stop between doctor and doctor? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can and you can't. It's not a big deal. Jay, I scored B in all subtests last April. Your videos helped me a lot. Big thanks to you and your team. Cool. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for sending that message. Thank you very much. Jay, I daily read journals, articles, which are uploaded on Medscape, but still my reading skill is not improving. Rekha, what you might need to do is to start to build your vocabulary. So what I would recommend is getting a notebook, an exercise book. But what you want to do when you learn new words and you're writing them down is you want to categorize them by the type of word. For example, you want to put all the nouns together. You don't want to mix nouns and adjectives and verbs. Really, you just want to learn nouns, verbs, adjectives. They're the 3. Because the other ones are sort of grammatical words that they have no meaning. They're just there to stick the sentence together, like the or in or of, for example. So you want to learn nouns, verbs, adjectives because they're meaningful. You want to categorize them. So you're just writing down a group of nouns on this third of the book, next third of the book, write down the verbs, etc. Cool. All right. All right, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a website. If you have any questions, you can go to this website. And you can ask any question if you have any questions about E2 language, about how we can help you, just go to this website here and submit a ticket. Submit a ticket, help.e2language.com. Submit a ticket, ask your question. We'll get back to you within 24 hours. If you have any questions about how to prepare for this test, specific questions on the test that you would like answered, feel free to go and ask at this website here. Otherwise, do go across just to www.e2language.com. Sign up to one of our, well, you can sign up for free if you like, or if you want to pay, you can, our budget package is $69 US, gives you full access to all of the materials, mock tests, practice tests, skill building lessons, overview lessons, everything you need is in there. Cool. All right, I'm gonna let you go. Thanks very much for coming along. I'll see you soon. And definitely start preparing. It's a good idea.